comic books, Taskmaster can copy any move he sees just by watching one time. He can master any martial arts technique because of his photographic reflexes that allow him to mimic these moves. He can copy anything, including dance moves. Don't know why he'd want to copy those ones, but he can if he wanted to. And then in anime, Naruto's Kakashi, the Copycat ninja, with his Sharingan can copy fighting techniques and other jutsus. Then you have Jujutsu Kaisen's Yuta, who's able to copy curse techniques. So as you can tell, there's a theme of copycat abilities. And in today's episode of Art of Warcat, we're going to take that ability to copy moves to reality. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 concepts that you can use to help you learn faster. The first concept is the power of observation. The second concept will be using analogy or understanding familiar movements. And the third concept, well, stick to the end, because this one may be a game changer for most of you. So let's get on with the power of observation. And we're going to use the Sharingan effect as a point of reference. As I mentioned before, Kakashi has a Sharingan that allows him to copy or somewhat download his opponent's moves and even copy their techniques and jutsus. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a Sharingan, but we do have resources of our own. We have YouTube. We can literally watch a video of our favorite fighters and break down their techniques just by watching them. We can put in slow motion. Very easy hack that we can use to learn to copy certain moves. But there's more than just looking at it and watching the videos. We really want to observe. We want to analyze. And it helps if we break it down and watch a video in slow motion. It's a great way to observe and break down the moves, and we can see it in real time. We're actually slowing down time, but you get the idea. But once you get that slower pace and being able to break down a move, even as simple as a jab or a cross, what you also want to observe are the little details on how that fighter sets it up. So my advice is not watch videos that show you the exact technique. Watch actual fight footage of your favorite fighter. Let's take Mike Tyson, for example. Everyone knows who Mike Tyson is. And let's take something complex like his gazelle punch, which I made a video myself earlier. So if you want to take a look at that, check it out over here. So when he does his gazelle punch, what you want to look for is not just the exact punch. If you already know how to throw a left hook, then the gazelle punch is already a bit easier. You just have to know the setup before you finish with that final left hook. Watch how he drops his weight, how he loads to explode off of that lead leg to come off and land that gazelle punch. So what you're looking at is not just the move itself. You're looking at the positioning, the setup. You may even go as far as watching how they step in, their footwork. Footwork's very important. The positioning is important. Even in jiu-jitsu, we say position over submission. You have to understand the position before you can execute anything else. So alongside of observing the actual technique and watching it in slower time, also watch how a fighter positions themselves before landing their technique. So concept number 2 is understanding familiar moves as points of reference, and also understanding how to use analogy, which I'll get into a little bit later. Basically, these are the concepts that Yuta from Jujutsu Kaisen does to be able to copy curse techniques. Okay, no, he has another hack. I don't want to be a spoiler, but there's another reason he's able to copy certain techniques, but there's still an understanding of familiarity and points of references. And then you have Taskmaster, who can copy any fighting style, including use of weapons, just by watching them with his photographic reflexes. He can copy Thor, for example, and how he uses his hammer. He has a cooler hammer than this, but you get the idea. He's able to use the hammer same way. He won't be able to copy his powers, though, obviously. He's only able to copy techniques. Now, that's an important factor because We also won't be able to copy the athleticism necessarily of some of our favorite fighters, but we can still copy or mimic how they move in certain ways. We're also limited to our own physical capabilities. You may not be as flexible as some of your favorite fighters when they're throwing high kicks, but you can still apply the same kick, you just have to kick lower. But back to the hammer. We'll get to the analogy now. With a hammer, if you know how to use a hammer, you'll also know pretty much how to use a hammer fist. The same relative mechanics, you're just applying it differently. And again, understanding familiar movements will also help you expand some of your move sets. So for example, I always say this, allow your offense and your defense to be the same. If you know how to throw your jab, you know how to slip. It's the same movement. My slip is going to mimic my jab. I'm just not throwing my jab. So I really only have to learn one basic move with my torso. I'm just changing the extension. And that goes same for the other side. So find moves that are similar and then just add what comes after. Less thinking. And we all like to think less, don't we? And the references for familiar movements are endless, right? Taskmaster can copy Captain America's shield throwing abilities. Not much different from throwing a Frisbee. You won't be throwing a Frisbee in a fight necessarily, but again, you get the idea. The mechanics are there. The understanding of the mechanics are there. Maybe you play soccer, and those movements in soccer allow you to throw a kick. The mechanics, again, are similar. Again, we're using familiar movements along with analogy. So if you're still here, you're at my final concept, my game-changing one, reverse engineering. Basically, we're gonna work our way backwards with our moves. Think of it as you know your destination, so it allows you to understand how to get there. So essentially, we're working backwards. What we're gonna do is apply some of the things that we did in the power of observation section where we can freeze frame and watch footage. So let's watch our favorite fighter's technique. Let's say a left hook. I know how it finishes, and I freeze framed and I'm seeing if I can mimic the same position that my favorite fighter or favorite technique is being used. I know my weight is distributed this way. I know how it ends. This actually makes it easier for me to figure out how to get back to the initial position. So you actually want two frames. You want the frame from the starting position and the frame from the final position. And then from there, all you're doing is filling in the gap in between. Because if you know here and you know here, it actually makes it easier for you to apply it for your body mechanics. But working your way backwards makes it easier because you already know how it ends. Like a spoiler, spoiler alert, you know how it ends, then it almost doesn't matter what's in between. But you have to also know the beginning. You can apply that to anything, including kicks. So if you're doing a kick, you know my lead kick is here, my leg has to be positioned here, my weight distribution is here, and I work my way backwards to my initial position. So that's a little hack you can use in being able to understand or being able to mimic a move faster by being able to work your way backwards. Reverse engineering, just like in science. If we're presented with a technology that we're not too familiar with, but we are familiar with certain aspects of it and apply that and work our way backwards, reverse engineering it, we can understand the technology better. And in this case, our technology are our tools and weapons in combat. So let's go over those three concepts again. We have the power of observation, really watching and observing how our opponents and favorite fighters apply their techniques, understanding their positions. And concept number 2, understanding analogy and understanding familiar movements that will allow us to refine other movements. And lastly, number 3, using reverse engineering, working our way backwards because we want to be able to understand how the move is finished. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to become your own copycat fighter. And again, you may not be able to copy exactly how your favorite fighters throw certain techniques because you are limited to what your body is able to do compared to them. They may be faster, stronger, more explosive, but you could still understand the body mechanics and apply the technique itself. So please let me know in the comments, who are your favorite fighters, or what's your favorite technique? Tell me in the comments, and maybe I can break it down for you in a future video on how to do your favorite technique. Continue training hard and train smart, and I'll see you guys on the next one.